Logan Murray pulled his truck into the driveway of his ranch house in Arvada, Colorado. The suspension creaked as the tires crunched onto the gravel beside his garage. The garage itself was full of tools, lawnmowers, replacement parts, and a big wood chipper named Wanda, not to mention a variety of equipment he only pulled out when he had specialty jobs to run. But that was fine. His big F-350 didn't need a comfortable place to live. His business did. Logan's landscaping, though physically demanding work, kept food on the table and him out of trouble. He killed the engine, but just sat there for a long beat. He rubbed his tired eyes with calloused hands and sighed. It had been a long day, and he was glad to be done with it. The work had been the same as always, but he'd had to fire Tyler McWiggins. HR was easily the worst part of running his own business. But Tyler had it coming. The kid had 3 major issues in his life. He drank too much, worked too little, and complained like a defendant in divorce court. Out of the 3 issues, the complaining was the worst. Tyler had called in to complain how sick he was. Logan knew better. His employee had the Monday flu, after a weekend of Coors Light and kvetching, red wine and whining, Bud Light and belly aching. So Logan had to work the day alone, which he hated. His other guys were hammering together a deck in Cherry Creek. Logan had spent most of the day bidding jobs, and most of the evening digging post holes for Grady Henderson in Thornton. A setting sun streaked red and gold across the sky. After spending hours in the heat, Logan was sweaty, dirty, and his belly rang empty like the bell in an abandoned church. Dirt covered his hands and clothes, and mud encrusted his boots. When digging post holes, you soak them down first, before you use the digger. One of the first rules of landscaping? Let water do the heavy lifting for you. Still, even with the water, digging post holes was backbreaking work. His uncle had disagreed with Logan's choice of careers. Uncle Bud called picks and shovels idiot sticks. Logan shrugged that off. He found the long hours, the heat, and the labor fun. Besides, any kind of manual labor was 1,000 times easier than the grunt work and never-ending hours he'd pulled overseas in the Army. Logan had been a 25B, once upon a time, an information tech specialist. Sounded fancy, though in reality it amounted to being a radio operator attached to an infantry unit. Now that had been work. Running line, going on patrol, lugging around the oversized PRC-77 radio, affectionately referred to as the Prick 77 by the poor souls who had to carry it. Landscaping had nothing on that. The work was fulfilling in its way, and the hours went by fast when he was with his workers, listening to the radio, talking trash, and building things. Nothing was as satisfying as taking nothing and leaving behind a masterpiece of wood, sod, and flowers. Working with plants was fascinating. Logan spent hours researching flowers, climbing vines, mushrooms, and different kinds of fertilizers. After 5 years of running his own business, he knew, down to the week, the life cycle of your typical lawn. He popped open the door of his truck, stepped out, and winced as he put weight on his prosthetic leg. Unlike Tyler, he wasn't a complainer. However, if he did have a mind to whine, it would be about his leg. Not losing it. He was lucky to be alive. But by God, it hurt after a long day. Phantom tingles raced up and down the skin that wasn't there. The tingles were better than the raw pain that often lingered in his stump. They'd taken the leg just below the knee. Why? That was a long story. Too long for a summer night, when there were beer and voicemails to attend to. Moving with a slight limp, he headed through his back gate and into the weeds and grass of his backyard. It was a jungle. The only thing it was missing was Tarzan and a few stray lions strolling through the savannah near the back fence. Logan spent his days perfecting the yards of his customers, but his own was liable to get a notice from the HOA any day. What was that old proverb? The shoemaker's children have no shoes. It was like that, but with more weeds. He strode across the cracked patio cement and through the back door. The scratch of nails on tile announced the presence of his 3 slobber hounds. The trio were only too happy to see him. He felt the same. Patting their heads and ruffling their fur, he let them race out into the wilds of his backyard.